Hello everyone, welcome to Manga Goblin. I'm Trix of course, and this is a brand new series called What the Hell, and it's reviewing the Sweet Home Netflix adaptation versus the Manhwa. Manhwa means basically manga. There are spoilers. If you don't want to watch something without massive spoilers, run down in a few seconds. The Manhwa is so far better in 20 chapters than the first 2 episodes of the Netflix series. That's it basically. That's all I can really say without spoiling too much. The protagonist is more sympathetic in the Manhwa, is less sympathetic in the Netflix series. The Netflix series feels very disjointed, the Manhwa doesn't, and there is lots of trigger warnings for suicidal ideation, and self-harming in this review. The protagonist is very depressed, so if any of those things affect you, please click off now. Thank you if you have watched so far. Great time. And spin the intro. Hello everyone, welcome back. So we're going to do a comparison between the first 2 episodes of Sweet Home, the Netflix series, versus 20 chapters of the manhwa. The Sweet Home manhwa is written by Kit Carnaby and illustrated by Hwang Yang-chan. There are 140 chapters, and of course, as stated, we're doing the first 20 here and the first 2 episodes. It's published in the West by Woodson House in 3 volumes. Now, because I want this to be a short, I'm not going to go into a lot of graphic detail. There are lots and lots of characters in this manhwa, and if I was going to talk about everyone, it would take a long time. So let's just focus on the main character and his journey, and 2 other characters. Let's focus on the protagonist, which is Cha Hyun-soo, baseball bat girl, which is Yoon Ji-soo, and Hyun Sang-wook is the mobster. Looking at both, the monsters are far more visceral in the Netflix series, but the Netflix series is far more disjointed. That after 2 episodes, I was literally confused what was going on and what time frame was it happening, and why should I care about anyone. That's the 3 main big takeaways from the first 2 episodes. Without going into too much detail, the monsters are very Silent Hill, very body horror, very impactful on the screen. In the manhwa, they're not as impactful, but the damage they do is far more reaching. I've been putting out, I want to say that the Bloodsucker monster is far more gooey and horrific in the Netflix series than he is in the manhwa. Basically, although it ends up with someone slightly injured, isn't so impactful on the group as much as the Netflix series seems to be. Then we'll look at Hungry Girl. Hungry Girl is a resident who's one of his next door neighbours who turns into a monster, and this is the first monster that the protagonist Cha Hyun-soo sees. He's very, very scared in the manhwa, and he's more like hiding, panicking, shaking, and you feel for him. You feel for the poor kid, but you feel for him more in the manhwa than you do in the Netflix series. You just think of him as this annoying person who you really don't care what happens to. As time goes on in both the chapters and the 2 episodes, you get Baseball Bat Girl. Baseball Bat Girl, Yeon Ji-soo. Yeon Ji-soo is again, she comes across as annoying in the Netflix series, and she comes across as more caring and nice and kind in the manhwa. Third of the 3 main characters that I'd like to address is Hyun Sang-wook. Hyun Sang-wook is a sort of mobster-ish character. In the Netflix series, they show a scene of basically him torturing and taping up, well, having a guy taped up, and in the manhwa, there's none of that. He's more caring. He seems like the type of person that you'd want around. You know, he looks protective, he looks rugged, but maybe meanish, but in a protective way. But in the Netflix series, he comes across as this rather gruff, angry individual who really you don't want to mess with. During one of the fight scenes, when he has part of his shoulder bitten, the group goes against him. But in the manual chapters, from up to chapter 20, none of that's happened yet. So it's very strange. It's very strange that they've added new characters and changed some other ones. So it's a bit strange. The second of the monsters now, we're going to look at Eyeball Monster. There's less of a fight with him in the Netflix series. It does end the same way, where he's rescued by the tanker next door neighbour, Handu Shik. Handu Shik is the tanker guy. It ends up the same way. Eyeball Monster in manhwa, there's a bit more of a fight with him. So in 20 chapters, you basically have the same time frame, but there's a lot more build up in the 20 chapters, and there's just sort of like things thrown at you in the Netflix series. It's very jarring, very jarring. So we're going to go on from the Eyeball Monster to the third monster, which is Half Hat. half-head is a guy that has his head cut off by another resident called Jung Ye Hyun, and he's a Korean teacher, and he's also a Christian, and he like mutters prayers to himself in the manhwa, whereas in the Netflix adaptation he comes across as a bit creepy. He really does. He's less nice. He comes across as like this creepy religious person, whereas in the manhwa he just comes across as like this caring individual that cares about his neighbours and wants to protect people. Yeah. And when this guy's monsterization, he just uses his katana to cut off half his head, and he thinks, oh, phew, he's dead. Oh, but no, monsters don't die that easy. He comes back and he's got half his head, and he has this giant bat here. In the Netflix series, there's this whole thing where it ends on one chapter with the character scared in the room and the monster inside, and then there's a whole other chapter about him peeing in the man, which they don't do in the Netflix series, and I'm really glad that they don't do it in the Netflix series, because it's just gross. I can understand why it's done for like emotion effect, but it's just gross. Yeah, the chase between the Bat-ear monster, half-head Bat-ear monster, and protagonist Cha Hyun-soo is a lot more eventful in the manhwa. There's like he uses like a bottle that breaks, but in the Netflix series he just uses some bouncy balls. I mean, again, it has the same kind of outcome, but again, you want to know more in the manhwa, and you don't really care about anything in the Netflix series. Saying that, wonderful use of computer graphics. Maybe it's just all built up, but as I've said, the first 40 chapters-ish are build-up chapters in the manhwa, and we've only 20 down, and there's only 8 episodes to go in the Netflix series. There's only 8 episodes to go, so they've got 120 chapters in 8 episodes. They're going to have to cut a lot. In the manhwa, there's 2 additional monsters that appear, one of which tries to kind of suffocate the protagonist Cha Hyun-soo when he's trying to rescue some individuals, 2 children that appear, where in the Netflix series that monster doesn't appear. There's also a monster that's only after protein, and he's a big hulking monster, and he doesn't appear in the Netflix series at all. It's just like ends with like blood gushing out of his nose. That's one of the first signs of monsterization. Yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird because monsterization looks more like a growth or a cancer in the manhwa, and in the Netflix series it just looks like you don't know what it is. It looks like it's something to do with that orange drink that is offered in the beginning by the security. It's very distorted. And if I wasn't doing a comparison video, I probably would have stopped on the first episode. But yeah, it's interesting to compare the two. I would read the manhwa, continuing now. So so that's it. That's the first 2 episodes and the first 20 chapters. Going on, I'll be doing 2 episodes and the corresponding chapters. There might be some gaps, and I'll try and point those out between the 2 source materials. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and bye bye.